Alright there guys, figure I'd come back to you and let you know of a few new things that are going on with the collaboration with Furitek. As you guys are aware of, the chassis are already coming out there. This is the side chassis, and it's made out of aluminum, and it has the included battery tray, and top and everything is removable. Boom boom. So this guy's already going out there. It's back on, in stock again for you to order or pre-order. I guess I don't know how they have it marked right now, but they have it. You can order it now. But I wanted to show something different. As you guys already know, this is a very small chassis, as you could tell, from comparing it to the actual deadbolt itself. So it's a really small chassis, and the reason for it being so small is that you want it to be able to perform as best as possible, and not having the extra body and all that kind of stuff, it helps it to get through a lot of the obstacles a lot easier. So I do understand a few people have some complaints, the long tail, the funky looking nose. There's reasons for those design choices. For one, the tail had to be long enough to where we could actually get the body attached to it. So that's what those holes are for. So you wanted to have that in there. Also, the shroud is just to protect the motor, and you wanted it to be open. So everybody keeps changing their servos, so you wanted to make enough room for whatever servo you wanted to put in there to be able to clear. And knowing that a lot of people do like to run, belly drag their rigs, then that was the easiest way to actually be able to fit a servo, going in and out of there. So also shock placement. You do get all of these options for shock placement. So depending on what kind of wheelbase you run, then you could pick out, whichever one runs best for you. I have seen a few people try to use the bottom sections of these spots while using stock length shocks, and what that's going to cause is going to cause some binding. They're not long enough to keep you from hitting dry shaft and your Y-link and all that stuff. So if you want to go that low, you have to do the same thing you would do with the regular deadbolt, which is to convert it to dual upper links in the front instead of that Y-link or tri-link, however you want to call it. So obviously, having that big motor in the front is going to cause some issues there when you go low enough with the chassis. So, and that's an easy fix. Just go with dual upper links. There's a few options for that. Some people have made some, servo plates that can adapt to dual upper links, and you can get those in Thingiverse. Also, what's the other concerns? Oh yeah, the holes, they're 2mm, like I stated on my previous video, but you can get the nuts, and they're super cheap. This is one of those kits that you get to fix your eyeglasses with, and the nuts that come in there, they're 1.4mm nuts and washers and bolts and all kinds of stuff. So this kit would work. They're super cheap. You can get it on Amazon for like a few bucks. So you get as many nuts as you want from that to be able to use your 1.4s in there, or just go to the better 2mm bolts and shocks that use those, like Charisma's, which work remarkably well with this design. But yeah, obviously the reason for that was I wanted the stronger hardware to be used with this, because you wanted to be able to survive whatever. But yeah. Oh, concerns. Yeah, somebody else also complained that the chassis was just entirely too heavy, which it really isn't. But okay, compared to some of the others out there, yeah, it might be heavy, but consider that this is the complete chassis. You need nothing else. So running bodies and stock rails and batteries, plates and electronic plates and everything, that makes it heavier. So this is the complete chassis. You know, that's hold on, it's not gonna record it unless I have it on the floor, of course. So let's show that. We got that. Let me zero it out so we're sure. There we have 31.4 grams. So that's for the full chassis. And again, remember, this chassis sits really, really low, and you know, it really doesn't hurt your center of gravity, especially considering that the battery tray is much lower than the stock battery tray placement, which you also have the option to run with this chassis if you choose to. So, you know, the stock chassis does bring the holes so that you could put your battery tray, and that's where the usual battery tray height would be with the deadbolt. So see how much higher the battery would go. So having the battery down here does help a lot for your center of gravity. But of course, that's not going to be enough for some people. So we figured, okay, let's do something for you guys, you know, that are really focused on weight. So we went ahead and did this. So this guy is 14.3 grams. Now this is made out of carbon fiber, and has a really lightweight battery tray on it. This one specifically is the one designed to use either the stock motor, the 030 motor, or the 050 motor, which is the bigger, you know, like the Barrage, or you know, some other motors out there that have that same size. So they would fit in their stock location, and the battery tray could go right next to it, and you still be able to use the tray to use to put the battery onto it, and then ESC or receiver, whatever you like in there. And then of course either ESC or receiver up here. You could just mix and match however you like it. So this one way lighter, so that's one option. But then we decided, you know, okay, well, maybe that's not enough, you know. This may not be for everybody. Some people have actually requested to do something to where they don't have to use this hideous design. You know, some people don't like it, and I understand. Some people don't like my beautiful baby. So we decided to make something a little bit different than that as well. And that's what brings us to this. I do feel that this body looks really nice. No, just kidding. That's not it. So you go ahead and you open that up, and you have yourself your Scythe Rail chassis, which is a lot lighter than, you know, this guy and even this guy. So I kind of messed up and went ahead and mounted it because I wanted to show you guys what it looks like mounted. But the weight of this one is 11.2 grams with the battery tray. Yeah, 11.2 grams if I'm not mistaken when I weighed it. So this is the lightest version, and you can use this as regular, you know, frame rails. But then you also have all the options for the holes. You have it to where you have the tilted skid, and options in the front as well. And you also have 2 spots for you to be able to run the electronics tray if you want to do that as well. You have the higher one, which is, you know, marked by this little hump here, and that allows you to use the Komodo. But if you're going to use the stock or the 050 motors, then you can bring that down to the height that it would be from stock, which is those 2 holes there. That brings the battery tray even lower. So that's options that you have with that one. It could also come with this really big tray, battery tray and electronics tray, if you don't want to use this one. So that is one option. If you're using the Komodo motor, you get the benefit of the really long tray on that. And as you know, as always, you're able to use the front bumper and the rear mount for the body. And of course you're able to use everything as normal. Now there's one difference here, that if you're using the front position where it clears the Komodo, you'll have to turn these to the rear facing instead of front facing. And if you're using at the lower point, then you put them front facing instead of the rear, so you could actually get them to match up with this spot. So obviously you can use the high clearance links. I personally like using them, but only in the back. You can use them in the front if you like, but I really don't see a need for it in the front. I kind of like them that way. The way that I use it, I feel that having the high clearance in the front doesn't allow me to slide the front if it gets stuck on something. So I rather keep the long straight ones in the front and just the high clearance in the back. You could use them, you know, however you like. The way I set them up here is, yeah, I just had this mount in there that I made, but I set my links to where they actually come all the way up to the battery tray, and that's where I set the limit for my shocks. So, oh, that's getting in the way. So when it turns, the shock compresses all the way, and then the links reach the battery tray, so that's maxing everything out, at least on the way that I have it set up here. Obviously you get a lot of articulation. I am not a fan of getting the full 90 degrees on my builds, you know, having it like that. I kind of like 45 degrees, maybe a little bit more than that, the way I build it. But because you have all the shock mount locations that you can use, you can play with that and make it the 90 degrees if that's what you like. But I personally don't see a benefit in the way that I crawl. I think 45 degrees is the perfect number when it comes to crawling at this scale. Because any more than that, then you start running into problems where you'll, you know, be turning your vehicle, and it's really not all that great. So yeah, I guess he sits there. These shocks are really soft anyways. But anyways, that is the way I like mine, but not everybody has to use it that way, obviously. Also, let me see. Oh, I guess I could show you here. That's what you would do if you're doing the dual upper mounts. This is one of the servo mounts that I designed, because I wanted to run this really nice servo, and I figured I could give it the best you know, look and performance by using my own mount on it. So that's how I set that up. And what else? Oh yeah, electronics. We should talk about that. So right now I'm using my old school Lizard. It's been working super great, so I like it and I keep using it because it's never let me down. I don't personally run 3S, but obviously I do have the option by using the Pro version, which is I would suggest everybody get this one instead, just because you have that option. You can go with 3S if necessary, and obviously being as small as it is, doesn't matter where you put it, it's not going to take much room at all, and it really doesn't weigh much at all anyways. So you could put this anywhere in the vehicle and you're really not going to even notice that it's there. You could even put it under the tray if you like here, and it still fits and it won't come into contact with the servo. But that's one option there. The other thing, figure, since I'm talking about this servo, this is a servo that is able to run 8.4 volts, and obviously these ESCs are not rated for 8.4 volts when it comes to the BEC, so that is not something you could do for these servos. So a lot of people, what they're having to do is get an external one to be able to run that kind of voltage. And there's another way to do it. I mean, it's a little ghetto rigged, I guess, but it's something that I've been doing with my 110 for a long time. And it's you can literally just get the power. If you're running 2S, you can get the power directly to that servo by just connecting the power, where you're getting the power to the ESC, just connect 2 wires to those 2 cables, and then power the receiver with those, if you have a receiver that's rated to handle that kind of voltage. So this is where you will connect to the battery, saying positive and negative. You take it out of those, and you can power both the ESC and the receiver with those. But when you do that, this is extremely important. Take the red lead out of the ESC plug. You do not need that power coming from the ESC, and what that does, it helps you greatly in one department that a lot of people have been complaining about, and that is ESC temperatures. Because the ESC no longer has to power the receivers and the servo, that is less strain that's going through that ESC, and less temperature that's going to be developed on that ESC. So your ESC life will be extended by doing this, and by using external BSC, of course. But that way your ESC will last a lot longer, and you don't have any fluctuations in the voltage to the ESC, and kind of like glitches when it comes to controlling the motor. So a lot of the problems that people complain about is mainly because they're trying to run servos like this one and trying to power it off of ESCs like this one. Even though they can, well, the Pro specifically has a much stronger controller for the servo. But even though they can control a servo, these servos that most people are running, these things are monstrous when it comes to pulling amperage because they're extremely strong. So if you want to make your ESC last longer, and you want your servos to run at the most, that they're rated for, that's the easiest way to do it. Just run it straight off your battery, as long as you're running 2S. Do not do it with a 3S battery, because you will destroy your servo, and those are expensive, and more than likely you will destroy your receiver. So don't do that. Again, this is very simple. Battery, power to the receiver, take the power out of the ESC, the red one, leave the negative and the signal on the ESC to the receiver, and that way you'll have a very happy ESC, and you will have a beast of a servo with no interruption anywhere whatsoever, just straight power coming from that battery. So I guess I got really sidetracked on this video, but I kind of wanted to answer a whole bunch of those questions that we've been getting, and I wanted to show you the new chassis. These will be going up for sale this upcoming week. Again, like everything, bear with us. We're like really trying our best to get these guys out there. I'm trying to rush these out to everybody, but like everything that I do, I really don't want to get them out there before they're meant to be out there, because I need to test them. I need to make sure that they're going to function, and I need to make sure that I cover all the bases so that you guys don't get the short end of the stick. You want to get a good product, and we're trying. Like I said, this is extremely lightweight, which is what a lot of people were asking, but don't forget the fact that this is a little bit heavier doesn't make it a bad chassis. It is extremely light when compared to other versions when you're running something bigger, and it's really lightweight as far as comparing it to that, and it sits really low and brings the battery and electronics really low as well. So don't think this is a bad chassis by any means. This is an extremely good chassis, and it is aluminum. This thing will never ever break. I don't care what you do to it, you cannot break this thing. Oh, the other thing, those guys, they're gone for the carbon fiber chassis. These chassis, they just pretty much snap in place. So let me see, that goes in there. See, they snap in there, so they're no longer going to be in the way, and they're not going to take up any of the space for your batteries and ESCs and electronics. So that's a plus of the carbon fiber one. But again, it's not that there's a downside to this. For the aluminum, that just gives you a beefier chassis. So anyways, I'm gonna cut it at that. I apologize. I always get sidetracked on my videos, but I wanted you guys to have the info. So thanks for watching, and that's it.